This is my 1942 John Deere B, and yes, it is a wartime tractor. This tractor lacks all the conveniences of modern day machinery. No electric start at all. 125-pound flywheel, and that's what you're turning to start it. Now, a tractor just 3 years earlier would have had electric start, turn signals, headlights, backup lights, you name it, it would have had it. Even a leather seat. Decals and everything. This tractor, just simple green. Just simple green to keep the rust off. Nothing more, nothing less. One of the many conveniences of this tractor is that it runs off distillant as well as gasoline. Distillant is what we would consider almost like a diesel fuel, but this tractor has a 2-gallon gasoline tank. It takes up about this much space, as well as an 11-gallon distillant tank. Uses the same amount of gas per hour, just distillant was a lot cheaper back in the day. The procedure for starting and running this tractor involves turning it on. Very hard to do. Once you've started it, you'll then turn a switch which closes the shutters up here in the radiator. By closing the shutters, you allow the tractor to heat up much faster. Air isn't blowing through the radiator. It's not cooling the engine down. It's actually doing the opposite. It's heating it up. Once the tractor is warmed up, then what you'll do is flip a switch which takes it directly from gas to distillant. The distillant tank, located right here, will burn much cheaper and much more efficiently. Once you've done that, at the end of the day, bring it back up to the barn, switch it back from distillant to gas, open the shutters of the radiator, allow the tractor to fully cool down. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and turn it off. A few other wartime specials of this particular tractor involves a toolbox. For $2 extra, John Deere would sell you this little plate of metal bolted in the frame. Allows you to keep chains or tools or anything in there and doesn't allow it to fall out the hole down here. This was sold with this particular toolbox installed. Another feature of this tractor is cast iron frame. Unlike all of the other tractors that would have been steel, cast iron was the only thing that they could afford to build during the war. Another very important feature of this tractor, it never came with tires. In 1942 and 43 and 44, unless you had big money or big connections, you weren't getting a tractor with tires. You were getting a tractor with steel wheels. That's what this tractor had up until 1960 when a farmer in Nebraska installed these outer wheels. He actually cut all of these spokes and welded it to this rim and then attached the tires. And the same thing with the front. Cut all the spokes and manually attached his own tires to it. One of the reasons why this tractor is so hard to start is because the only way to shut it off is to turn off the gas completely. You just cut the gas. That's a good thing and a bad thing. Mostly a bad thing. The bad thing is when you shut off the gas, the next time you want to start it, all of the gas has to find its way down the line again. So the other bad reason is when you shut it off, it may continue to sputter for an additional 20 to 30 seconds. One thing that John Deere did install, though, is some cheater valves. This is a 2-cylinder tractor, and so it means it has very high compression, which means it's very hard to start by hand. So what they would do is install these cheater valves, drill holes right into the cylinder. What this does is when you turn the valve, it's actually letting the pressure out rather than compressing it. It still starts just as easy, if not easier, when the cheater valves are open. gas coming right out. In 1942, Automaker ceased auto production entirely and shifted over to war materials. Michigan became a powerhouse during the war. The big three automakers all contributed and gained acclaim for their efforts. Chrysler became known for tanks, while Ford focused on airplanes. The newly designed four-wheel drive Jeeps also began ramping up production. General Motors manufactured light, medium, and heavy-duty tanks, destroyers, armored cars, amphibious vehicles, aircraft engines, and propellers. Artillery shells, such as the one in the photograph above, was produced by Oldsmobile, a division of General Motors. Over the course of the war, the auto industry manufactured $29 billion worth of goods. It provided 12.5 billion rounds of small arms ammunition, 245 million tank shells, and nearly 6 million guns. It is no wonder why Michigan became known as the arsenal of democracy. Chevy had factories in Poland that made an armored car called the Kubus. The truck was based off a 1942 Chevrolet or 157 half-ton truck. These vehicles were made in Warsaw in 1944 during the Warsaw Uprising. Chrysler also played a key part in the war effort. A new division of the Army called Signal Corps Laboratories was created in 1930 and designed long-range radio trucks that were built and commissioned by Chrysler. Much like satellite trucks today for TV broadcasting, they were used for radio and telegraph transmissions. Over 1,000 of these trucks and trailers were built and sent to Europe to build a new network of communications for the Allied forces. During this time period, people left their Duesenbergs in the garage. They traded them in for Fords and Chevys. None of the wealthy families of America wanted to be seen in their $20,000 cars. Hitler, on the other hand, embraced luxury. During the 1930s and 40s, Hitler ordered several special-order four-wheel drive Mercedes-Benz. Studebaker of South Bend was commissioned by Rolls-Royce to build the legendary Merlin engine, the 27-liter powerhouse behind the B-17 bomber. As the Merlin was considered to be so important to the war effort, negotiators soon started establishing an alternative product line outside of the UK. Rolls-Royce staff and a large number of investors visited a number of North American automobile factories in order to select one to build the Merlin in the US or Canada. Henry Ford turned down the initial offer to build the engine in the US. In July 1940, the Packard Motor Company was subsequently selected to take one of the $130 million Merlin orders. The agreement was reached in September of 1940, and the first Packard engine was designated the V1650-1, and it ran in August of 1941.